can fold just a piece of printer paper. And I don't know how well the camera is going to show this, but you can see the skull slightly through it. Can you see it, Nahum, a little bit? Okay. So right here where you have these dots where the optic nerves and veins feed into the skull from the eyes, that's going to be where your pupil rests. And then an even circle around your pupil, as even as you can. In other words, make it a circle. Try and make them similar. I really am not looking for perfection because what I'm grading on my rubric is really about the 8 layers of shadow in whatever style you select. So now you've got a pupil, you've got an iris, and you have to make the eyeball. The eyeball must fit inside the eye socket. If it doesn't, that's just like kind of really silly. It has to fit or it would pop out of the head. Then directly here, you've got this ridge on this bone right here. And you've got to think about the fact that the flesh on the bones is it's got a depth to it. It's got layers. It's got muscle mass, it's got fascia mass, it's got, you know, multiple layers of skin, and it's got a fatty tissue layer. The nostrils are important that you actually have the nostrils, not just the part that goes up into the skull, but that this wraps around here and then it comes down, because this little thing where, like when babies cry, the snot runs down, this is actually a muscle that comes down onto one of your orbicular muscles. So at this point, right here on the top of the teeth, between the teeth and below the teeth, you're going to make a similar curve to the nose, okay? You're going to follow up, down, up, a little bit up, down, up, and you can connect that. You can connect this, and you're starting to get your face. Now at this point you want to measure out from the eyes and the nose, and that's going to give you an approximation of where your ears are going to go. So at this point I'm going to come around my skull and I'm going to put some meat on that head, okay? I'm turning it because I really don't want to rub my hand across it and smudge the drawing. And if you draw a lot, you'll find that you're going to have always graphite. Okay, I'm not happy with my jawline here, so. The neck is actually connected to the head, and if you think about the mandible, the lower jaw is not really, it's just connected separately. So the spine goes up into the skull, so that's this bone here. So you're going to find the neck comes from here. People draw awfully funny necks oftentimes. All right, so the head has ears, and the ears, if you think about Chinese philosophy, this is the head of the baby, and this is the spine, okay? This line comes down and just kind of dead ends. You have a line that comes up, creates a Y. I'm going to do that again. So you've got this hard piece of cartilage kind of in the center there. This comes up, comes down, just kind of dead ends. Comes up here, creates a Y. Now, if you can see through the paper well enough, you're going to see where your shadows go. It's already marked out for you. But let's talk about the eyelids. The eyelids serve multiple functions. Number one and foremost, they hold the eyeball in place. This is where the eye boogers live. One goes this way. It's actually the same muscle, and then this one stretches around the eye. This is where, this lower eyelid, where you can see women wear makeup, and you're going to do the same thing over here. The other function is that they open and close for multiple reasons. They keep the eyes moistened, so that's part of the function of opening and closing all day long, blinking. And they keep foreign objects. If you've ever had something fly towards your eye and you snap shut it, it's a reaction. So it protects the eyes. So you're going to find now, depending on how deep set in somebody's eye socket you've got your eyeballs, the skin fold, because you've got extra skin, right? It opens and closes. So the skin kind of folds down here. This is going to curve, the shadow is going to curve in towards the bridge of the nose. The shadow is going to curve down. And everything just kind of, and then this shadow from the eye curves around here. So here we go. I'm going to draw a bald person, and then I'm going to talk about hair. I really don't want to go very dark here, because if you recall, I keep stating that you want to build up your shadows. So if you take, the more time you take to do an excellent job shadowing your skull, the more intuitive it's going to be for you on where the shadows fall on the face. Your face drawing usually is never any better than the skull drawing. People that do a great job spending time on learning how to do the skull usually wind up with decent portraits. So every time you make a dark mark like this, you want to feather it out. So I'm going to start feathering towards the bridge of the nose here, and I'm going to feather out towards the temple and down towards the cheek. So here you find that you've got a shadow. The eyeball is sticking out, so under the eyeball you've got a shadow here. Now some people have very deep set eyes, and a lot of times you'll see people that have a very dark area here, and it's usually when it's really, really dark and there's no apparent reason for it. It's usually a sign of allergies. And so, you know, I talk to the students about that. And I say, you know, you need to, you know, look at yourself and evaluate, you know, do you think that you've got some adverse reactions going on that are making you not look as well as you should be from your allergies? Now, there are some people that have very dark eye sockets. It has nothing to do with allergies. And again, let me come back to, that's part of the beauty of the species, about how different we look in a very similar fashion. It's pretty incredible. Great stuff. Okay, I have a lot more to do there, but I want to talk about how this now needs to feather down a little bit. It's going to cast a slight shadow. Let me at this point erase the rest of the eye pupils, because at this point we really don't need them. Well, now, home, I know you're getting uncomfortable holding that camera there, but think of it this way. I'm almost done. one thing I hate in drawings, unless they're sketches, quick sketches where you're just trying to get down as much information as you can as fast as what we call 2-minute drawings, 30-second drawings, 1-minute drawings, like that. It's good to sometimes use the side of your pencil, but when you're actually trying to work and shadow, you never get the fine quality of shadows that you can establish from using the point of the pencil. I very much am opposed to using the side of the pencil for students because it kind of confuses them. I believe that they're better off just using the point. The light comes down and it hits the forehead. It comes down from the sky or from the lights. It hits the top of the nose. It hits the top of the eyelids. It's going to hit inside this eyelid right here and give you some reflection. You've got a little highlight here, here. And then it's going to hit the lower lip. This lip slants into the mouth. So it falls into shadow. A lot of learning to see and learning to draw is mostly a question of people just never thought about it. For some reason, people think that the shadow goes on the lower lip. So a lot of times, very amateur drawers will do things that give it kind of an interesting effect, but kind of are dead giveaways for anybody else. And people that don't really know, that are encouraging children to draw, if you really believe a child has a talent, pay for him or her to have an art class, you know, because all of the praise on earth is going to not help the child. The only thing that's going to help the child is actually having some direct instruction from somebody who knows how to teach. So my recommendation is if you love a child and care about a child and you think they have a gift in anything, I don't care what it is, piano, drawing, then pay for some art classes. Find a good classical instructor would be my recommendation. And different learning styles and intellectual levels require different kinds of teaching approaches. And so that might be something that you would want to read about on the web before you select the right teacher, the right program. And then nobody knows their child like the parent. Parents know their children inside and out, oh my gosh, until they get teenagers. And then they start to come into their own, and a lot of parents are still holding on to concepts about who their children used to be. There's quite a bit of shadow here. There's what people call the Adam's apple here. It's another bone that moves up and down, but it's the throat. And so it rises, and so because it sticks up, you want to keep it lighter. There's usually a sun side and a shadow side, or a light side. There's always, it's very uncommon to have perfectly balanced light on both sides of the face. But I'm not going there at this time. I'm just teaching where the shadows go. I'm not teaching so much about variations in light. I really don't want to go there. I just want to teach the basic shadow on the face. So those of you that might know more that are watching this, please appreciate that all I'm teaching is that because the skull has a certain format, so does the face. Now, the inside of the ear is right in here is where there's the least amount of light. Well, not to mention the part here that goes into the head. Okay, but that's kind of a given. So again, here's the part that goes into the head. Now let's talk about lashes. Lashes on the lower eyelid are smaller, and as they come in and as they come out, they go that direction. It's best to clump them together a little bit and have them go different directions a little bit, but in general, they're always pointing out, so that, and I'm giving way too many, so it's like going to be a female at this point, okay? Which is great because I would like to teach hair. So that's what we'll do. I'll use this opportunity. Eyebrows are individual hairs. People tend to color them in, but when you look at people, it may be subconscious, but unless they have them all plucked off and they color them in, you actually read every single individual hair. And I think that's really kind of incredible. There's a lot that happens visually that becomes subliminal and almost automatic. You don't pick up on it because it's so expected. Hair is a shape and a form, and people get caught up in that, and it's really not so dramatic. There's different kinds of hair. I would like to start kind of with, let's start with very, very curly hair. You can start by drawing little shapes, or you can get looser like this. And you fill that in, and then that's, keep going, I'm gonna grab it. You can fill that in, and what you're gonna find is that you're going to see effects like this. And these are drawings I've had the honor to be able to do of students because they're here. And there's another one in here of a student. So you can see you can completely fill them in, and that's great. In general, what you do is you work from the shadow spots where it's darker, and you go the direction of the hair. And so that's kind of, this is kind of blocked in because I was going to still go over it with the little curls, but it gives you an idea of what you need to do. So we would need to block in the shape of the hair. So if I said, okay, I want to put a part here, and so I'm not going to see hair there. And then let's say I want to come down to here. Now, the hairline follows the temple here a little bit. And let's say we're going to give this person a shorter hairdo. We could make it long. It doesn't make any difference. I guess we could keep coming down. Behind the ears, behind the face, I don't care how blonde the person's hair is where your shadows are, because you're robbed of light source. So I'm going to come in there first and begin to feather. And the same thing for the tops of the ears and behind the ears. So I'm just going to put a little bit of shadow and start there. I haven't really decided what kind of hair I'm going to put on the person, whether, you know, how curly, how straight. If this is the hairline, you're going to find a shadow coming down onto the face. Now, the light starts coming straight down. So as it curves into the part, you'll get a light shadow. And you're always going to go the direction of the hair. People tend to just draw like that's hair or something. And that's not hair. So as it curves down, this is where your shadow is going to be. From the bottom. And from where it is behind objects and folds into objects. Okay, I'm going to teach what I call reverse drawing real quickly now. Let me go ahead and start. A lot of times kids will overdo something, and in reality this probably isn't done enough, but that's not, it's done enough for the lesson's sake. So if they do too much, take your eraser and just start reverse drawing. Come in and start lightening up as though it were an instrument itself. People don't use erasers enough. And they're great drawing tools. I mean, they're fabulous. And there you have it. So, how many minutes was that in home, the whole lesson, skull and face bow?
199. Actually, my bad. 36.
Huh? What?
36 minutes.
36 minutes?
Yeah.
So 36 minutes for a skull and face. All right, there you have it. Thank you very much. And